What's up, everybody? This is attorney Dan Winigan, and I want to talk to you about corporate and LLC formations and what's the difference between hiring an attorney and hiring a non-attorney. So a lot of people, their first stop is actually for forming some of these things is their accountant or the non-attorney. And I've had now let's say there's a lot of non-attorneys that do great work, but sometimes LLCs and corporate formation it's just more about filling out the form, right? So for my clients, I spend some time with them deciding which entity is best for them, and then from there we craft not only their articles, but craft their bylaws and operating agreements according, especially if there are multiple members. So how do we what's the percentage like, right? Is it manager or member managed, right? So there's a lot of kind of like pre-work, pre-consultation that goes into forming an LLC or corporation. But I will say what I've seen from non-attorneys, it's pretty bare bones, right? You could file with the state. The company, say the accountant, will file the articles of organization with the state, right? You'll get that back depending on 10, 15 days, depending on how fast the state is processing it. Usually they'll also give you the tax ID number, because obviously you need to open up a separate bank account for your new business. And you'll probably get, if you're lucky, you'll get a fill in the blank operating agreement. And they will not explain to you what this is. And you will probably not sign this because they're not forcing you to sign it. Okay. So pretty bare bones. I did experience this recently with another client. I was brought in to actually clean up the LLC, and ended up costing them a little bit more than had I done it in the first place, because I had to spend more time basically fixing the documents. So when I do it, again, I spend a lot of time with them. Say, hey, which one's right for you? What are your goals? What do you see? Are you seeing potential investors in the foreseeable future? Who are the members? So one recently I had, they had a foreign owner, right? So we can't do S Corp election because S Corp elections does not foreign residents to own an S Corp, right? So I did have to guide him through some of these things. And so certainly, obviously, a tax professional will know that one. But that's one part of many things I go with my clients. So so not only that, right? So I filed articles of organization with the state. I obviously get the tax ID number. I prepare bylaws according to our consultation, according to what is appropriate for them, right? Member manage, manager manage, how much power, how much control, things like that. Voting, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, actually, the other things I also do is provide a membership certificate. Let's see, guys. So you usually provide them with a folder like this, right? Folder like this is what they get, and they'll get a seal like this is what I'll provide to my clients, and we'll get membership certificates. This is an LLC. These are blank ones. I want to show you what it looks like, right? So I'll provide this one. This is evidence of ownership, or one of the evidences of ownership in the LLC. So I want to ask you, like, hey, do you actually own this? So this is one of the things you can provide, right? Membership ledger. So membership ledger is a kind of a running list of who's the owner, who owners in the business. Like if someone sold, how's someone brought in. So this is required to have accurate record keeping of who the owners are in the particular LLC corporation, right? Also provide subscription agreement or documentation of like, hey, what is the value being exchanged from the individual to the entity in exchange for the ownership, right? So this is important, because if you sell the company or for your taxes, you want to know what your cost basis is in the company, right? You want to have accurate bookkeeping. And this is one of those things we'll show you, like, okay, if your accountant, tax professional asks you, hey, what's your cost basis? This is the information that is going to be, you're going to use to provide it. I also provide an LLC and corporation initial minutes. So there's an LLC, this is organized minutes. So what you want to do is actually show a chain of linkage, right? A clear title ownership, right? So there's an incorporated of an LLC, and they will nominate the managers or the members of the LLC, right? So, because oftentimes you look at these documents, it's like, well, how did you become the owner? Well, I'll just put in money, and usually there's not a clear chain of ownership, right? So there's the incorporator or organizer, and who nominates, you know, say the board, or nominates the managers and the minutes. So you can see, you know, from the formation of the documents to the owners, how they came to own the company, right? So the initial organizer minutes, or initial director, or shareholder minutes, I include those, so that there are certain resolutions in the company that allow the company to operate. One of the things I also do that a lot of even attorneys don't do is file the, at least in California, was the securities exemption. So this comes in handy, especially if you tend to do business with the state, or have filings with the state. They might require, they're most likely require you to do this. And if you don't, and the state kind of what's called a demand, or ask you to do it, it's actually an additional $200, right? So you want to save yourself $200. You might want to file this. When I do it for my clients, we file it for them, so they don't have to endure the hassle later on. So I think, yeah, that's most of the stuff. For us, obviously processing times vary, but for us, we usually get it done on a non-rush basis, about 2 to 3 weeks. And if you need it sooner, we can file it. We can file it sooner and pay for priority or expedited processing with the state. But we usually have our companies up and running in a couple of weeks. So, hey, this is Dan. Someone asked me, what's the difference between hire you and LLC? So I'd like to think we're much more comprehensive. I've had to clean up other non-attorney work, and so we offer much more documentation to our clients with regards to the LLC. And for us, we also provide a little bit of a playbook. So like, now what, right? Now that you formed it, what do we how do we operate this thing, right? So in this playbook, it's like, how do you sign your name? There's a particular way to sign your name as the owner of the company now, or as the title president or manager of the company, right? Obviously, open a new checking account. What about contracts, right? We talk about assigning contracts to the new company. So I do provide a playbook for you guys. So how do you operate your company after you form your company? All right. So I hope this has been helpful. This is Dan. The difference between using an attorney and using a non-attorney forming an LLC corporation. I hope that answers it, and I'll talk to you soon.